right, good morning. It's 8 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a few thank yous to pass out today. Thank you very much to our presenters. We have John Klaber, Carl Hoyer, Rachel Zick, Michelle White, Jillian Carhan, Laura Anderson, Tina Ailey, Kelly Ankenbrand, Mia Harrier, Ann Burton, Eric Zorns, and Diana Judy. Let's give them a warm round of applause. Thank you very much. I want to thank Brad Glover for coming in early this morning and helping me turn on all the lights and get all the rooms ready. Lisa Acton for helping get everything set up this morning. Anybody who's helped with anything, bringing in equipment, we really appreciate it. I want to say just one quick thing. I'm not sure, this might be a big secret, I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I like the Cubs. I'm a Cubs fan, and I'm wearing this jersey today mostly because the Cubs have only been in the playoffs 7 times in my lifetime, and tonight starts one of those times. But I'm also wearing it because I am honoring a very great coach whom I admire greatly. Joe Madden is a great coach. To be a coach in any sport at any level, you have to be a great teacher. Great coaches assess their players the first day of practice to see what their strengths and weaknesses are that they have on their team. They build a plan to make everyone better. They work hard to help each player reach his or her potential. They set an example for the team to follow. Isn't that exactly what you all do every single day? You all are just amazing to me. So teachers are great. I'm going to give you a few words of encouragement, Joe Madden style. So today I'm asking, in the words of my hero, Joe Madden, embrace the target with your kids. Embrace the target. Do simple better. Try not to suck, because wherever you go, your kids will go. And it is my great pleasure to announce our speaker, Tim McElvain. He is the Area 4 Technology Director, and he is going to share some great information with us about technology today. So welcome, Tim.
I just lost my mic. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Can you hear me? Okay. As Emily was saying, I'm the Learning Technology Director, and my role is an ISBE Director of a program that works with school districts, and one of the things I do is work with teachers, about 2,000 to 3,000 per year, on how to integrate technology effectively in the classroom. I come from a classroom background and an IT background, so I have the pleasure of working with about 117 school districts throughout East Central Illinois. That means I'm traveling around quite a bit. But it also means I get to see some really neat things that are going on in the classroom and at the district level as well. So some of the things that we talk about today in this keynote, as well as in some of the sessions I'm doing later today, tie back to that and talk about best practices that occur elsewhere. Right now we're going to be talking about digital mindset. Really how to use technology effectively in the classroom. You have access to these great resources. Your students have access to resources. Now, what do we do with those? And we're going to start with a statistic. I think it's always good to start with statistics. 65% of children entering grade school today, this year, will ultimately work in jobs that don't exist today. This is a startling fact. Sometimes the numbers go higher, sometimes they go lower, but this seems like a pretty good number. I have 4 children. The youngest is 4 months old. The oldest is 8 years old. And so when I look at them, I understand that the 4-month-old is probably going to have a job that doesn't exist today. At the same time, some of the best technology that you have right now, and probably the best technology I own is my smartphone. It's the one I use the most. The best technology that you have is going to be the worst technology that the students entering school ever experience. So technology is continuing to evolve. And so as teachers, as educators, we need to keep on evolving too. So when we get technology in the classroom, we have to make sure that we're using it appropriately. Up there's a picture of a tree. I wasn't made to be a worksheet, and the iPad or the tablet says I wasn't made to be a worksheet either. But so often when we use technology in the classroom, we're really just substituting what we did before and using that piece of technology to do the exact same thing, but just in a different format. So if we have a worksheet, paper worksheet, we now have a digital worksheet. And there's some benefits to that, and that's appropriate at some points. But it's not appropriate always. So we want to evolve and transform our instructional practice. Now, this is going to require a little interactivity, which I know is hard at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you have a cell phone or a laptop, a device, I just want you to answer a very simple question, and I'll walk you through how to do this. If you're using a cell phone, send a text to the number 37607. And it's really small up there, so if you can't see it, I'm not counting whether or not you're participating. 37607, and you're texting the number, you're texting ROE9, and then A or B. I'm out of ROE9 in Rantoul. So, do you think you're using technology effectively in the classroom? I love watching the numbers adjust. Now this is a little pre-assessment to see where you are now, and at the end of today, hopefully you're going to feel slightly different. 50%? 46? 43? Oh, it's going down. No. Keep on going strong. And this is generally what I see when I ask this question. And it depends on a lot of variables. What does effectively mean? How does it apply to your specific subject, your specific content area, to your students? Sometimes it's not appropriate to use technology all the time. Okay, the poll is full. So 40-60. Okay, this is a good number to start with. So as we go through today, think about how you're going to be changing what you do in the classroom based on stuff I talk about or the great sessions that are happening later this morning. And I'm excited for some of those. I plan on stopping by a few of those too. Now you had 40% said that you use it effectively. On a nationwide scale, only 16% of teachers think their schools are using technology effectively. So you guys are doing pretty good compared to the national average. And why do we care about using technology effectively? I mean, some of this is obvious, and I know that you understand this. But technology affects test scores dramatically. Your students' ability to be comfortable with technology and know how to use it. Technology uses 21st century skills like collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, all these things that are necessary to get those jobs that don't exist now in the future. Technology can increase feedback, and if you're somebody who uses things like Google Forms or all the other assessment tools out there that give the immediate feedback, Google Classroom, for example, then you know this. It encourages self-directed learning. So students begin to take control of their education when they have access to the resources inside the classroom and outside the classroom. They begin to follow their own passions, their own questions. And it reduces the achievement gap between low-income students and peers. And all these things, all these items are research-based. There's a lot of research that says that technology does have a significant impact on these areas. So we have to make sure that we're using technology effectively. I love this quote because it drives home a point. It's not about the device, but rather the transformation of instruction and authentic learning experiences and opportunities that arise from having a device readily available. So whatever device your students are using, it doesn't matter. It's really about how you change your instruction. Just having technology in your classroom is not a panacea. It's not going to solve problems. It's possibly just replacing paper worksheet with a digital worksheet. But it's about how you transform the instruction based on having that device available. So this is your role, and this is your task for today and really throughout the rest of your careers. So it's a small role. Developing personalized pathways. And I'll explain this along the way. Personalized pathways, that's a fancy way to say differentiation. And those are some new buzzwords, personalized learning. But really focusing on those personalized pathways. If students don't know these sets of math problems, then they need to keep on working on those until they master it, while everyone else is going on to other things. They're personalized pathways for student learning through active and collaborative learning activities. Collaboration is key, and we know this too, that education has changed dramatically in the past 5 years, past 10 years, to focus a lot on collaboration. So your students should be working together, whether in a digital environment or face-to-face. They should be aligned to standards, ongoing assessments of students' progress and preferences. Now, student progress, that's something we've focused on a lot. Student preferences, giving students ownership of what they're doing and choice has dramatic impact in how well they do with a task. And it should support the use and creation of rich content and robust tools. Technology enables all of this. It makes it so much easier. It can make it more difficult, to be honest. But once you get over those initial hurdles, it makes it so much easier to access free materials, to access tools that can really transform what you're doing. So for the rest of this morning, for the rest of this time we have together here, we're talking about how to transform the instructional environment, the instructional practices. And we're going to be doing that by looking at SAMR. SAMR is an acronym. It stands for substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And SAMR is a framework for moving your use of technology to support higher level thinking. There are a few other frameworks out there. Some of them are popular in other places around the world. SAMR is the most popular in the United States, and for good reason, because it is easy to adapt. It helps, the primary thing this does is help encourage teachers to be reflective about what they're doing. And there are some issues with this too, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. But right now, we'll go through these steps and talk about how to move up what you're doing at a basic level to how you can redefine or transform really education. And you might be anywhere in the spectrum. Some days you might be doing substitution, some days you might be doing redefinition, and that's okay. So substitution. You take the same task you completed without technology, and now you're completing it with technology. That's that digital worksheet. I taught English Language Arts. If I wanted students to complete a paper worksheet, I might have something on pronouns or outlining an essay, and they have to fill out this worksheet. Well, I can move that into Google Docs, and now it's online. But that's the only difference. It's online. Which is cool, because it increases engagement sometimes, but that's really not enough. Augmentation is the next level. You take the same task, and then you improve it a little bit with technology. You're augmenting it. So my example of the worksheet, with Google Docs, you can do spell check. Okay, that's augmenting the traditional task a little bit. You could, there's a built-in research feature in the Google Docs where students can quickly research and input images or quotes, and it does citations for you. That is augmenting. That's doing something you couldn't do before very easily. It's making it easier through technology. Modification. Now you're changing the task. The task is different. It's not just filling out this worksheet. The task, in my example, could be collaborating with a peer. So a student creates this outline of an essay. They do the spell check, they do the research, it's a really good outline. And then they share it with another student. They do some peer editing. They collaborate. Maybe they share it with students outside of the class. Maybe they share it with teachers outside of the school. So you have this, this task that is no longer the same. It's different. And when you think about how different it is, you're accessing all these other skills that just a plain old worksheet a student is doing individually doesn't do. And redefinition. It is a new task, now possible through technology, a completely new task. You are redefining, you're transforming what it meant to do that worksheet. In my example, students do the outline, they collaborate with peers, and then they create their own video, for example, about that outline. They explain it. It's not a video where they are performing. It's a video where they walk through the process, their thought process of what they were doing, why they chose to do it. They're really explaining to the audience of the video why they made their decisions. So that's redefinition. We're redefining that task. You may get share the video with other people. They get share it with other students to teach them how to do the activity that they were walking through. And this process, going from substitution to redefinition, is often compared to a ladder. You're moving up the ladder in the complexity. And as you move up the ladder, you're moving up the ways you're accessing higher level thinking. So redefinition is often aligned with synthesizing, applying, evaluating, critiquing, versus substitution, which is really often just displaying a basic understanding. And sometimes substitution is appropriate, right? Sometimes you need those worksheets. And you don't always have time to do redefinition. Redefinition often is creating a video or a multimedia experience, which can take a week, 2 weeks. If you spend 2 weeks on an activity, how are you going to be able to do all the other Common Core standards that you would have to do? So it's not always appropriate, but this framework gives you something to think about. And we'll dive into these and give you some more examples. So, as we were saying, substitution. Substitution often could be things like online flashcards, word processing, online journaling, online resources. These are things that you could do in a regular environment without technology. Some examples or scenarios, online textbooks. A lot of schools are moving to online textbooks. About 70% of school districts next year are expected to have some form of online textbook. But that's substitution. But again, there's great benefit. It might be cheaper. Google Slides. I love Google. I do a lot of workshops with Google. But creating a Google slide is often just substitution for having students stand up and do a presentation. And sometimes you want the students to get that experience talking to people instead of just doing technology. Google Forms instead of paper quizzes. Again, I love Google Forms. But that's substitution. And Fitnessgram, substitution. Augmentation is the next level, though. Using Google Maps for storyboards. There are ways to map out, in English, characters' travels along the way, along a path. If you teach Odysseus, for example, you can see where Odysseus goes, have students create that. Google Drive for sharing. Kahoot to review material. Kahoot is a review game. So instead of doing Jeopardy, Kahoot is a lot more fun. And we'll be doing Kahoot at the end here. So we're ending with a game, a good way to end. Social media, simulation applets, or apps. This is our little picture from PhET, which is a great science app to do simulations. Then we have modification. Modification, going up the ladder, doing a word cloud, bookmarking tools, so you're having students create bookmarks or annotated bibliographies, and they're sharing them with people. Google Forms to collect and view data. You see, Google Forms was on the previous one too, but now if you are using it to collect data as an educator, evaluate that data, make instructional decisions on that data, or provide real-time feedback, or have students create Google Forms or Google surveys and send those out to their peers to collect information, then that is transforming the task. So a single tool could be anywhere along the ladder. Create a digital travel brochure, text, audio, video tools, Google Sheets. And here are a few more examples. There are apps on the left side. Class Dojo is a great tool for elementary schools for behavior management and tracking and sharing with parents. And a redefinition. And this is the fun one. This is where you're really going to do some neat things. You jump outside the box. You focus on all these things on the side, on the right side. Student voice and choice. The audience goes beyond the school. This is often an element of redefinition. So you are engaging the audience, the global audience, in whatever you're doing. You have to make sure it's age appropriate, parents are okay with it, but you're sharing their work and getting feedback. Students are curating and creating their own content. Original standards remain, so your Common Core standards remain, but you're adding this focus on 21st century skills like that creativity, that collaboration. And then this last one here, technology might appear transparent to the learning process. I worked in 2 different school districts, and in each of the school districts, the last year I left, we were transitioning to a one-to-one environment. And when you first transition to a one-to-one environment, often that technology seems clunky when it starts integrating with the class. You have to teach students how to put the technology away so you can transition to something that's not technology-based, or take the technology out, and that takes time, and that is not a seamless flow. But eventually you get to the point where students and the teachers know how to move seamlessly from technology to not technology to technology. It doesn't take time, it doesn't interrupt the flow of the class. It is seamless, it's transparent. And here are a few more examples. Personalized learning paths. So differentiation is so much easier with technology than without technology. That's my personal opinion, but I think it is. We're pairing students with professionals in a specific career or field. Imagine using Skype or any of the other online video conferencing tools that are free for students. And Skype has a great database of teachers around the world who want to share classes and do projects together. And so in your class, you have students collaborate with professionals in a specific field, whether it is, I'm coming from the technology side, so whether it's people in Microsoft or Facebook who are eager to reach out to students and help them and at least share what's going on in the real world so they know where they're headed. But any profession out there, writers, biologists, chemists, are all willing to have that interaction. You get recorded feedback in flipped classrooms. And one of my sessions is on flipped classrooms today, but flipped classrooms, you're allowing students to get the new material at home through videos or some other activity. And when they come to class, you're not teaching new material, you're not teaching new lessons. Instead, you're tutoring students. You're helping them with that face-to-face time. It's transforming the way that traditional classrooms have been taught. So it's all very exciting. Here are a few more tools. Blogging. Can I get a quick raise of hands? Does anybody have students blog? All right, one. Blogging is, and again, English language arts background, but I think blogging is one of the most transformational ways to use technology for students. It's not always the most fun, the most engaging. Students might have kickback, but it's a way to get them to have student voice. There's some great academic reasons for it, regardless of whatever subject you teach. Even if you teach third graders, fourth graders, kindergarteners, seriously kindergarteners. You can do online portfolios, which are like blogs, with very limited access, only parents can see them, but they're creating this collection of their voice. And it could be pictures, it could be text. So it's easy to assess, but it gives them that voice that lets them create a dialogue, a conversation with each other. Here's an example of a tool, and I'm endorsing any of these tools, but WISE is from Berkeley. It is an online platform that allows students to go through the entire research process. It's focused on science, and so the entire research process of coming up with a hypothesis, experimenting, and it's within this platform that encourages all the 21st century skills. So you're redefining really what it means to do a research project, because you're not within a classroom. Instead, you're working with people really around the world on these projects. Think Kara is the same. It goes through, except this is for English, it goes through the claim, evidence, reasoning, counter-arguments, and audience. It focuses on collaboration when they're doing a research project. Bloxels is an example of coding in the classroom. Coding is something that is increasing in popularity throughout the United States. About 28 different states require some kind of coding class. We require districts to offer coding classes and make it qualifies the math credit. You know, you need a certain amount of math credits to graduate. I think 28 states allow that. Minecraft Education Edition. Students love Minecraft. But there's an education edition that teachers adopt for the classroom, and students go in there, they build different things that have educational purposes. Whether it's, I saw students build an eyeball, a very detailed eyeball. I assume that was educationally appropriate. But they can do math problems, science experiments. It's a wonderful, immersive environment. And all those things are moving you up the ladder. You have these educational objectives in your class, for your school district, and now you're just using technology to transform education along the way. And there are different ways you could look at SAMR. You could tie it to balloons. There's different images, different ways you could do this. You can find specific apps that help with, there should be a local one, specific apps that help with different tasks in SAMR. There are some problems, though. It's fair to point these out, because as you go through this and you start getting excited about SAMR, and I know all of you are really excited about it, you have to be aware that you can't just do SAMR, right? Just because you're redefining something does not mean it's higher order thinking. If students create videos all year in your class, you're not evaluating, you're not analyzing, it becomes very rote. Same thing, just because they're substituting does not mean that they're not analyzing. It really depends on the educational task. So this is a good way to look at it. This is from, actually from some teachers in Illinois that created this model, and I like it a lot. We have the SAMR on the left side. We have this classic education pyramid. We like pyramids. Redefinitions are at the top. But at the very bottom, you see a few things. You see learning objectives, because before you even start thinking about SAMR, you need clear learning objectives. You have context. You have to make sure that in the context of your class, the material that you're dealing with is enhanced by SAMR. And then learning activities, the pedagogy. You got to make sure that what you're doing is actually going to create the results that you want. Because otherwise, SAMR is just a way to get technology in the classroom. It's about the device, and that's not good. It cannot be about the device. It needs to be about how you transform education, how you make the experiences for your students better. So what we're going to do is play a little game. We're checking for understanding right now. How many people have used Kahoots? Nice. Okay. Give me a minute. I have to turn on my volume so we get the cool music, my favorite part. Okay. Oh, and I have prizes too. You can't play Kahoot without prizes, that's my philosophy. You gotta avoid those naughty nicknames. I don't like those. Chicken lady. Nice, Nancy. Okay. Ooh, asterisks. I like that. That is pretty cool. It's the teacher formerly known as asterisks. All right. While we're waiting for this to load, the purpose of this is to go through examples of SAMR to really drive home the points about what it means, examples. When you first start using SAMR or thinking about SAMR, augmentation and modification often blur together. Right? I have a feeling that the stragglers here are spending the time thinking about a really cool name, and they're, what do I do? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Took them 2 minutes to think of that, though. Okay. Okay. Are you ready? 17 questions. I don't know if we'll get through all 17. We'll see. We start with the easy ones to build up your confidence. Ooh. And you know that the faster you do it, the more points you get. I think I also gave you a lot of time for this. Okay, Sammer, good. Sammy, not so good. Okay, Meg, good job. I'm pretty sure the Cubs suck is not going to win, so don't worry. Scanning worksheets into Canvas. Canvas is an LMS, a learning management system, so just scanning worksheets into Google Docs or Google Drive. It's an example of what? Substitution or augmentation. For the ones where it's unclear that most of you know what this is, we'll spend more time talking about it. I'll ask for some feedback. But that is definitely substitution. You're literally taking a worksheet and turning it into a digital worksheet. You're not even recreating it. Using an interactive whiteboard to lecture. When interactive whiteboards became popular, people thought they were amazing. Now many school districts are moving away from them. They're still amazing. I think they're pretty cool. But you're taking a chalkboard and turning it into a $3,000 chalkboard in some ways. Now, before we move on, I like interactive whiteboards. You can do a lot of cool things, like do collaborations or record what you're doing so you can share it with students later, which creates a flipped classroom, which is really neat. Students produce a weekly news program and post it on YouTube. And slowly giving you less time too. Modification or redefinition. Okay. Good. So that's more modification. Students design 3D models and print their work. Okay, could be a tricky one. Because couldn't they do this with paper? Couldn't they like cut out paper with scissors? That is modification using skills that are not part of the traditional task. So if you have ever done 3D printing, it requires a little something extra. Teacher uses Khan Academy. Khan Academy is fantastic. It's a great resource for free math, science lessons. It's a great way to do flipped classrooms. Okay, substitution or augmentation. Now, usually people get this wrong because in many ways, you're taking a traditional lecture and just putting it in an online environment. Ooh, I like this one. This is good. Okay. Right. That's redefinition, redefining a task. Now, going back to that example, if that took students an entire week to do, that's probably a very poor activity for them to be doing. But if it took them a day, like a class period, sure, that's pretty good. Students look up definitions of vocabulary words using Google, then copy and paste them. Right, you just use a dictionary. So that is definitely substitution. Okay. Now there's a spelling error somewhere in here in these last ones. This never happens though, right? They never just copy straight out of Wikipedia. They would never do that. It's crazy. Okay. Good. So substitution. Instead of plagiarizing the old-fashioned way, they're plagiarizing the new way. Students collaboratively write a story with a classroom in Australia. Here's the last easy one here. So we're using Google Docs in the background. Should have been modification. So good job. I think I was hacked and it was changed. A student prints their own worksheet, finishes it, and turns it into the teacher. So you're creating your own worksheet in a digital environment. Ooh, so, and the goal of the worksheet would be to teach somebody else. Let's see. Students are asked to complete a worksheet using Google Docs and submit it to the teacher. So they're just completing a worksheet instead of creating their own, submitting it to the teacher. It's an online worksheet. Okay, this is augmentation because I should. Okay, now I'm messing up my part, so I apologize. I should have given you a little feedback. There's only so much you could put in a sentence, and I forgot I cut down some of these sentences. So in this case, it would only be augmentation if the teacher's seen it as the students are submitting it, and they're able to see the progress along the way. So I think that should have been a freebie here. I'll give everybody a point. I don't know if I could do that here, but I'll do that. Students must design and record a documentary and interview various people. They're designing it in a digital environment. They're recording it with digital technologies. Redefinition. Okay. Now, why is it not modification? Does anybody know why it would not be modification? Based on what we talked about. Yes?
It's integrating with a global artifact.
Right, you're expanding the audience, you have an authentic audience. You're transforming a task you're creating a task that couldn't be possible without technology. Okay, 14 to 17, we're coming close. Students must write an essay and must make a recording reading the essay over a soundtrack. They select the soundtrack, they're recording their voice, they're going to share this essay with other people. Okay, modification. The way I built this up with the sharing other people, that makes it the definition. So those 10 should have gotten a point. Uh-oh, Cubs suck. Students create flashcards containing audio-visual elements to use on their iPads. So create flashcards. It has audio-visual elements, though, so something perhaps to help them remember a little bit more. So what would an example of augmentation be with flashcards? You create flashcards in let's say you use Google Docs for flashcards. That would be substitution. What's augmentation? Which is a little slightly beyond that. Yes?
Maybe adding a picture or a description?
Well, adding a description, the picture would be the audio-visual elements. If you use something like Quizlet, for example, that might be augmentation because you're augmenting the process. Quizlet.com is a great quizzing tool. Modification would be getting the audio-visual elements to help make you remember a little bit more. Okay, 6 out of 17 questions. Here's the spelling error. Sorry about that. English teachers. Student reads a blog and completes a Google form to demonstrate comprehension. This is a tricky one too. Augmentation. You're reading, you're completing a formative assessment to show comprehension. That's it. There's a lot of grumbling. Does anybody want to share a grumble? A question, a comment. Okay, I see some half hands raised, but I'm not going to call on you until you fully. Okay. And the last one, let's see who is going to be the champion. Students use Chromebooks to complete web quests and then write collaborative essays. A web quest is just a series of activities on the internet. Modification, good job. Are you ready for the reveal? Miss B, Hannah, and Olson. Whoever Miss B, Hannah, and Olson are, come down at the end of this and I'll give you a book. That's my prize. Those are my presents for all holidays too and birthdays. My kids don't like it. Okay. So let me go back to the slide. So here's my thought on that. In the big scheme of things, it probably doesn't matter if you know with 100% accuracy what is augmentation, what is modification. But in the big scheme of things, it does matter that you know you have to keep on changing things, keep on integrating technology when appropriate, and that there are different levels of technology use to do different things, to work with different types of students, with different needs, with different curriculum. And sometimes all it takes is thinking outside of the box. There are ways to use technology that will save you time. There are ways to use technology that will suck up all your time after school, before school. Don't use those ways. If a website and app takes you more than 5 minutes to figure out, skip it, go on to something else. So this brings it back to this picture. What do you do now? Where do you go from here? The technology that you have access to, the technology your students use, can do a whole lot. But it's not going to do a whole lot unless you guys start guiding that process and encouraging it. And there are free resources out there. There are great ways to do technology. That's what today is all about with the various sessions you're going to be going to. So hopefully this sets the framework for what you do later today. And think about SAMR as you think about all the other ways that technology can be used in the classroom. Thank you very much. And enjoy today.
Thanks, Tim. That was great. A couple of just housekeeping notes. Handouts for most of the sessions are going to be in that folder that was shared with you at the beginning of maybe last week. I can reshare that tonight. So if there's not handouts, they will be there. Some of the presentations will also be in that folder. This session was videotaped, so if you want to hear it again, share it with a friend. It'll be on YouTube soon. We want everybody to attend at least one session of Hapara. That is located in Rochelle's course room. You can choose any sessions at any time. You don't have to pre-register for anything. Eat snacks. There's lots of snacks in the hallway. Turn in your green eval forms at the end of the day. Have a great day. Go Cubs.